A homeless kid walked up to my mute daughter with a dirty bottle and said, "Drink this, it will help you." I was already reaching for my phone to call security. 10 minutes later, my little girl said, "Papa," and everything I thought I knew about safety, pride, and who gets to help a child got turned upside down. If it were you, what would you have done? My name is Daniel, and for 7 years, my daughter Laya didn't speak. Not a word, not a whisper, not even a broken syllable you could pretend was speech. We tried everything. Specialists with wait lists and awards clinics with glass walls and soft lighting therapies so cutting edge they sounded like startups. And every time I signed the bill, I told myself this will be the one. Spoiler, it wasn't. I tucked her in each night and kissed her forehead and listened to the kind of silence that settles in your chest like a stone. People look at my life and say, "Millionaire lucky, look at the house, look at the cars, look at the vacations." And I see all of it. But I would have traded every last piece of it just to hear one word from my kid. The day it happened, the city square was a living thing. Shoes slapped the stone, pigeons zigzagged like they owned the air, a fountain kept tossing sunlight back at the sky. Laya's hand was small and warm in mine, a little sweaty, a little brave. Blue vest, checkered blouse hair catching light. My kid looked like a painting that forgot to be loud. We were waiting for her speech therapist who was late, again. And I was doing that thing where you pretend you're calm and you're absolutely not. You know what I mean. Then a shadow slid across us. A girl stood there, maybe 10, maybe 11, braids tied with a faded pink string gray shirt gone the color of too many days. She held a plastic bottle to her chest, like it was a baby or a secret. The liquid inside looked wrong. Pale brown flecks floating, not water, not juice, just wrong. Every dad instinct I own threw up a wall. Not today. But she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Laya's throat, like she could read the silence written there. "You're thirsty, aren't you?" she said. Laya blinked. Her fingers moved in my palm. The girl lowered her voice. "I've seen that look. Trapped. I know what it feels like when your body won't let your voice out." She lifted the bottle. "Drink this just a little, it might help." Pause. "Be honest. If it were you, what would you have done?" I heard my own lectures in my head. Don't take things from strangers, especially not on the street. I smiled the way polite people do when they mean no, and I said, "We're fine, thank you." The girl's eyes flicked to mine, then back to Laya. "My grandma made this for me before she died," she whispered. "It has power. It saved me once. It's all I have left." People walked by. The city does what it does, and some of them judged us like it was a sport. A couple with designer sunglasses glanced over, disgust curling at the edges of their mouths. "Feeding her garbage," the man muttered. The woman tugged his arm like compassion was a stain. "That look burned, you know. The one that makes you feel small even when you're trying to stand tall." The girl's cheeks flushed, but she didn't lower the bottle. This kept me alive when I had nothing, she said. Laya let go of my hand. That tiny movement felt like a cliff opening under my feet. Her fingers touched the bottle, sticky, warm, real. The girl guided it up. "Small sip," she said, "not greedy, just a touch to the throat." My mouth said no, late, because the tiniest taste had already hit Laya's tongue. Bitter, earthy, strange. Laya gagged, coughed, eyes wet with surprise. "Slow," the girl urged. "Don't spit it out. Let it sit. That's how it works." Laya coughed again, hand at her throat. And I was already turning on the girl, already protective and furious, because that's what fear looks like in a father. What did you give her? I snapped. What is in that bottle? She didn't step back. My name is Maya, she said. I had trouble breathing once, really bad, and my grandma made this. She called it a gift, not magic, not poison, a way to remind your body how to swallow, how to breathe slow when fear locks you up. You can hate me, but look at her. Just look. I looked. Laya's lips were parted, a tremor under the skin, and for a heartbeat I saw something I hadn't seen in years, like a bird pressing against the paper of a cage from the inside. Then habit grabbed my steering wheel again. I pulled Laya behind me. Do you have any idea who she is? I said. Do you know what you've done? You could have poisoned her. People started gathering. The human need to be near a story is so strong it's practically physics. Phones appeared. The air went tight. Maya's lip trembled, but her chin didn't. Believe what you want, she said. I didn't ask for your trust. I gave her what I had, and then the square stopped. Laya made a sound. Not a word. Not yet. But a spark that lit every nerve in my body. I turned so fast my shoes squeaked on the stone. Her chest rose, quick fell, quick rose again. Her mouth opened like a door we hadn't been able to find the key for. Pa, she said. A broken little thing, cracked and raw, but real enough to knock the breath out of me. Say it again, I begged, forgetting the crowd, forgetting my pride, forgetting everything except the sound. Please, baby, say it again. Her fingers touched my cheek. Pa. Then Papa. Soft, clear. A bell that had been waiting years for someone brave enough to pull the rope. Yeah, that happened. Right there between the fountain and the pigeons and the strangers who thought they knew us, my daughter spoke for the first time in 7 years. A woman whispered, "Miracle," a man muttered, "Dangerous." You could feel the crowd split in two. My heart was a storm, gratitude crashing into suspicion, joy slamming into fear, and pride tried to stand up in the middle like it still ran the place. Do you think that's fair? That pride can show up when you're crying with happiness. Mine did. What's in the bottle? I asked again, but softer. Maya held it out. You can have it. You can test it. It's water and herbs and a little honey and salt and something my grandma called throat fire. I don't know the word in English. She said it helps you remember how to swallow. Calms the panic that strangles your voice. My mouth tried to form lawsuit and lab and liability because old habits don't just die, they dig in. And then Laya looked at Maya and tried another word. Friend. The F stuttered, the rest slid into place, and there it was. Belonging, shaped by a child who had never had the chance to say it out loud. Pattern interrupt. Wait. Because you might think this is where the story ends. Miracle hug credits. But it wasn't over. Stick around, because what happened next will blow your mind. Security arrived. Dark shirts, careful hands, radios crackling like they were chewing ice. Someone had called. Maybe me with my face, maybe the couple with the sunglasses. I honestly don't know. They separated us, polite but firm. Sir, what happened here? I kept tripping over my own words. My daughter spoke, she gave her something, please be gentle. One guard took the bottle like it might bite. Another asked Maya where her parents were. My grandma raised me, she said. She passed last winter. I'm keeping her things safe. That line hit like a brick you don't see until your shin finds it. A child talking like an adult, because life didn't give her a gentle slope to grow up on. A woman pushed through then, hair in a messy bun tote bag like it had been to war and back. Dr. Chen, our speech therapist, The one who talks to Laya like a person, not a puzzle. She knelt, asked May. I checked. Leia's breathing hummed and got a hum back, then turned to Maya. What did you give her, sweetheart? Maya listed the ingredients again, steady as a metronome trying to be brave. Dr. Chen did that calm face professionals do when they're thinking fast. Oral rehydration with a stimulant sensation, gentle swallow cueing, and trust. When the body is scared, we need safety and a reason to move the voice, she said. She squeezed Maya's shoulder. Thank you for being kind. Now the twist, the part that flipped the ground under my feet. One guard came back with a supervisor and a clipboard. They asked for names, statements, the bottle, the whole official dance. Maya reached into her shirt pocket and pulled out a folded paper, soft from being carried and unfolded and refolded 100 times. She handed it to me, hands shaking just a little. It's my grandma's note, she said. She wanted me to give it to whoever needed it, but I kept it because it was all I had. If it helps your daughter, you can have it. I opened the paper, and I lost my breath again. Not because of the recipe, not at first, but because of the letterhead at the top. It was from one of my own manufacturing plants, a smaller division I barely ever visit. The kind of building that sits by a rail line and hums through dinner. At the bottom, in a careful, shaky hand, it said, From the canteen of Haverly Foods, with gratitude to the clinic nurse who taught me this mix when the girls were sick. The nurse's name was circled. I knew that name. She had worked in our company clinic, my clinic, our budget, our cuts. Do you feel that drop in your stomach? The cold line that connects 2 points you really hoped were unrelated? Chen leaned in, read with me, nodded slowly. Simple oral solution. Water, salt, sugar, ginger. A touch of honey, sometimes a drop of capsaicin for that throat fire tingle. It encourages swallow calms, the panic spiral. Not magic, not poison, just a tool. And then the guard asked a question that split the square all over again. Sir, do you want to press charges for endangering a minor, or do we treat this as a medical intervention without authorization? The crowd tilted. Some nodded. Unsafe, you can't have street kids dosing rich kids. Others shook their heads. Did you not hear that child speak? If it were you, which way would you lean? I looked at Maya, and behind her I saw long nights, thin blankets. The way you learn to move fast when a door opens because it always closes. I looked at Laya, and I saw curiosity lean forward, not fear. I looked at the letterhead, my company's logo, and something climbed out of my pride and called itself by its real name. I turned to the guard. No charges, I said. File your report, but write this. She helped my daughter and I should have listened sooner. There was this gentle little clap. Not a stadium, just relief moving through human hands. The supervisor nodded, told his team to stand down, take statements, go easy. Dr. Chen slipped the bottle into a plastic bag like a TV show prop and said, we'll test it for safety, and we'll start sessions built around this same slow swallow cue. Then to Maya, would you come by the clinic and show us exactly how your grandma taught you? Maya nodded like someone had offered her a chair in a room where she usually stands. I reached for my wallet. Reflex. Because when men like me feel useless, we try to tip the universe. I held out a card, black, heavy, and I said, I want to make sure you're never hungry again. Maya looked at the card like it might bite, then at the silk handkerchief I had pressed into her hand earlier without thinking. Money helps, she said, but food helps more. Safety helps more. Being seen helps the most. Pattern interrupt. Silence. Because that line landed like a key turning in a lock I didn't know was there. We took Maya to lunch. Me, Laya, Dr. Chen. Security sat 2 tables away and pretended they weren't watching. Maya ate spaghetti fast, the way you do when you've learned that good things sometimes disappear. Laya reached across the table, touched Maya's wrist, whisper brave, and tried it again. Friend. Clearer. Stronger. My whole body turned into thank you. The next weeks looked like hope with a schedule. Dr. Chen gave us homework. Humming gentle breath play, slow swallow practice paired with calm touch. Maya came to the clinic, taught the staff exactly how her grandma had mixed the simple solution, told the story the same way every time. Not magic, just care you can carry in a pocket. Leia's voice grew like a vine. A word here, a phrase there, laughter coming out as sound instead of silence. Meanwhile, a video from the square found the internet. The comments did what comments do. This is dangerous. This is beautiful. Where were the adults? Where would we be without Maya? Do you think both can be true? That we need rules and we need kindness? That safety and compassion can hold hands without canceling each other out? Here's where some of you will cheer and some of you will light me up in the comments. I looked at that letterhead, and I looked at our clinic budgets, and I didn't love the man staring back at me from the mirror. We had cut hours during a downturn, shaved staff told ourselves we'd rebuild later. Later never arrived. So we changed it. We staffed our clinics properly. Again, we added community hours where anyone could walk in and learn the slow swallow technique. We stocked ingredients for safe oral solutions and clear instructions. We partnered with the city to make sure no one was guessing. We set up a scholarship for clinic aides and named it after Maya's grandma, with Maya's blessing. We hired 2 women from the shelter, because skill and patience live in places people with my bank account don't always bother to look. And still, controversy. The health department called. Lawyers said words like liability and precedent. A reporter asked on camera, "Would you recommend other parents let strangers treat their kids in public?" Pattern interrupt. No, I wouldn't. That's not the lesson. The lesson is to listen, to breathe, to notice the difference between harm and help, to build systems that make kindness safe instead of punishing it after the fact. We need rules, and we need ways for human decency to move inside those rules without getting handcuffed for trying. Months later, we went back to the square, me, Laya, Maya, just to sit by the fountain and eat ice cream and let a good memory stand where a scary one used to live. A man in a cheap suit came up hot with anger. "You people," he said, "you make heroes out of beggars and villains out of rules. What happens when the bottle isn't honey and herbs? What happens when a child gets hurt? Will you still preach kindness then? I told you the ending would be satisfying and controversial. I told you it would ask you to pick your way through a mess of truth. Here's what I told him. You're right to worry. We should. We need guardrails. We also need to remember that solutions don't always wear white coats. Sometimes they wear a faded pink string in their hair." Maya squeezed Laya's hand. Laya looked up at me and said, plain as a bell, "Can we get sprinkles, Papa?" "Yes, baby. Always." Yeah, that happened. So now I'm asking you, because you've been with me through this. If it were you in that square, would you have trusted the girl or pulled your child away? Do you think it's fair that a kid like Maya has to carry her grandmother's wisdom in a pocket because no one gave her a badge to carry it in? What do we owe each other when it comes to voice and safety and who gets to be heard in a noisy city? Here's my take. Argue with me in the comments, please. The bottle helped, sure. But it wasn't a miracle in plastic, it was a bridge. The real miracle was trust, fragile at first, stronger with practice, The kind that told my daughter you are safe enough to let sound move. The twist wasn't money fails and the street saves. The twist was me learning to see what my money had made invisible. A network of quiet care without which all the dollars in the world are just paper. If this story stirred something in you, say it. Tell me if I made the right call with the guards, or the wrong one. Tell me if you think I should have pressed charges, or if mercy was the only door worth opening. Tell me about the moment you had to choose between a rule and a person, and how you chose. And if you've ever felt voiceless, for a year or an hour, tell us what helped you find your sound again. Your words might be the bottle someone else needs to hold. If this resonated like the video, share it with someone who needs a reminder that small, stubborn kindness can change a life, and subscribe for more true stories told the way they felt. Messy, brave, sometimes wrong before they were right. Drop your thoughts below. I'll be there with you, reading, answering, learning. Stick around, because the next story might just change the way you see strangers forever.